Now, let's also talk here about a major problem which many Australians feel, and I told you it was going to get worse if there was a change of government. Interest rates are about to go up, and they're going up again tomorrow. The expectation is that we could be getting anything from a quarter to another 0.5%. If we get 0.5%, that's a really big whack, but there are big whacks that have happened all over the world. Now, if you have a look here, this immediately puts people into a thing called mortgage stress. People who borrowed too much money and are going to find it harder to start to pay things off. This is huge. Let me have a look at this here. Now, assuming the economists or the market's average were fully passed on to mortgage holders, which it always is, it would mean that the rates would go from 3.7% to 5.8% and 6.8% maybe by mid-next year. Now, I told you that more spending leads to inflation, inflation leads to interest rates, and it's going to keep going up. If that happens, where you were paying something like 5.8 or 6.8 by mid-next year, it would represent the sharpest proportional increase in mortgage rates in Australian history. It would, and I quote, devastate household finances, the housing market and the Australian economy. So when interest rates go up, it matters. And they're going up again tomorrow because of inflation. Now, no doubt they'll blame everyone apart from themselves. But remember, they promised that they were going to spend every single cent that the previous government did, plus extra tens of billions on top of all of it, with no increase in the amount of money coming into the budget. These are the consequences. So to the people who made a choice in the Tiffany Teal seats, they won't care. But in the suburban seats that changed, in that 87 seats of the 151 in the federal parliament, where household wealth is between $300,000 and $500,000, tomorrow is going to be a terrible day. The only silver lining is for those of you that are self-funded retirees. But let's have a look here at what mortgage stress looks like. Now, according to this data here, at least 135,000 households in Sydney alone right now are under a thing called mortgage stress. They frankly can't afford to pay the bills. The darker the colour, the deeper the trouble. That's what it looks like right now in Sydney. Latest data about what it looks like in Brisbane, all the way down to the Gold Coast, and what it looks like right now in Melbourne. Now, despite the fact that they agreed to spend every dollar the previous government did, remember they supported everything in their budget, and despite the fact that they said that they're going to spend tens of billions more, Jim Chalmers is trying to have it each way. Dare I say, following on from the leader here, pretending that there's going to be some sort of spending cuts at the same time as they're planning to spend billions more. I know, it doesn't make sense, but this is what they said.
The fiscal situation we're inheriting is dire. The budget situation that we're inheriting from the Liberal Party is of serious concern to us. Can't flick a switch and make $1 trillion of debt disappear. But whether it's multinational tax reform, whether it's trimming spending on contractors and consultants, whether it's starting to unwind a decade of rorts and waste and mismanagement in the budget, this is hard and important work that we have already begun.
So you know that when it comes to what governments can do, what they spend influences inflation, heating up or cooling down the economy. Well, cost of living being wildly out of control right now, guess what was confirmed by the Albanese government today? Despite what you just heard last week, this week, they're going to spend even more money. Potentially anyone who is on some form of a pension will end up getting more money to help them deal with power prices. Now, I'm not pretending that this isn't help from the government, but it is more spending. More spending leads to higher inflation. Higher inflation leads to higher interest rates. And if the experts are correct, we're on to 5.8 or 6.8 in terms of the interest rate by the middle of next year. Strap yourself in. I told you there'd be consequences. You will start feeling them from tomorrow.